Hello everyone, welcome to the part 8 session of R programming. In today's session, we will see how to plot the graphs in base R. We will plot the different plots like BarPlot, Boxplot, Histogram, Pi, Scatterplot, and so on. We can use different R packages, libraries such as ggplot2, Lattice, highcharter, sunburst, and many other packages. But in today's session, we will be only using the base R programming to plot these graphs. So let's start with the session with the bar plot. Bar plots can be created in R using the BarPlot function. We can supply a vector or a matrix to this function. If we supply a vector, the plot will have bars with their heights equal to the elements in the vector. Let's take an example. I'm creating a vector with an employee ID. So these are the employee IDs starting from 1001 to 1010. So this is my first vector. Second vector is the name of the employee. So there are 10 names. The third vector that I've created is the department. The employees belong to this particular department. And the last vector is the salary vector, which has 10 different salaries. So I'm combining all this vector and I'm forming a data frame. So I've created a data frame using data.frame function. And I'm executing the data frame. This is how my data frame will look like. The first column is my employee ID. The next one is the name, department, and salary. Now, if I have to plot a bar plot for this data frame and the column on salary, so I will create df underscore employee is my data frame name, and the column on which I want to plot a bar plot is the salary column, and I will use the bar plot function. So this column will be assigned to an object x, and bar plot function with x, it will help me to plot a bar plot. So this is how my bar plot will look like. This is the place where you will see whatever plotting that you have done, whatever graphs that you have plotted under the plot section. So this is the smaller view of the graph. Once I click on zoom, it will open a new window. We can extend it or we can maximize it. It will give us the info. Using this bar plot, we have plotted only the employee salary. This is the axis, y-axis, on which I have plotted the employee salary. I haven't specified any name of the employee, or I haven't named anything. There is no labeling done in this bar plot. So let's see how to do the labeling and how to change the colors in the next example. So moving forward, we will plot a graph for employee salary. From the same data frame, I'm selecting a column name and I'm assigning an object and assigning it to the object employee underscore name. Similarly, salary, I'm assigning to employee underscore salary. Now I'm using a bar plot function. The first plot that I'm going to use is my salary, employee salary. Names will be the argument name. It will have employee underscore name. So whatever names that are present in the name column, I have given it as an argument to names.argument. And xlab is the label of the x-axis is the xlab. Similarly, the label that I'm giving to the y-axis is my ylab. Now col color is I'm selecting a green color. Main, over here, main is the name of my complete graph. I'm giving a name to this plot that I'm plotting, and border equal to red, as the bar plot will be green in color, and I'm assigning red color as its border. So let's execute this step by step. I'm creating an object employee underscore name, employee underscore salary and plotting a bar plot. So this is how my bar plot is plotted. When I zoom on it, the first thing is which is main. Main is my name of the plot. I have given a name as employee salary. On the y-axis, ylab is my employee salary. This is my ylab. Similarly, xlab is the employee name. So, and each bar will have the employee names: Mike, Sam, Vijay, Jonathan, Michelle, Samuel, Vinod, Sami. These are different 10 employees that I have in my data frame, and the y-axis has their respective salaries. So this is how we plot a bar plot using all the other options like name, argument name, ylab, xlab. You can give the colors, you can modify the border, and you can mention the name of that plot. So this is my X lab, this is my Y lab, and this is my main, the name of the plot. Now let's move ahead and try a different kind of a plot, which is a box plot. Now box plot usually refers to a box and a whisker plot, which is popular method to show data by drawing a box around its first and third quartile, and the whisker for the smallest and largest data values. The median is represented by a bold line in that particular box. Box plot are a measure of how to know of how a well distributed is the data in that particular data set. It divides the data into 3 quartiles. The graph represents the minimum, maximum, median, first quartile and third quartile in that data set. This is also useful in comparing the distribution of data across the data sets by drawing the box plot for each of them. So box plot are created with a box plot function. For this I am using a data set. For the basic box plot I am using a data set called as empty cars. So this is how my empty car data set looks like. It has different columns, which is MPG, displacement, cylinder, and these are the rows. So I'm selecting only the MPG and cylinder from the empty cars data set, and I'm creating an object called as data. So I just want these 2 columns, MPG and cylinder. I've created an object and I've printed that object head of data. So this is the 2 columns that I'm interested from that data set, and these are few 6 rows which we got using the head command. Now to plot a box plot, we will use a box plot symbol. It will give me a relation between MPG and cylinder. Data is my empty car data set. Xlab is the label for the x-axis, that is number of cylinders. Ylab is the label for miles per gallon, which is on the y-axis, and the name of that graph that I'm giving is mileage data. So let's plot this graph. So this is how a box plot looks like. So we use the dataset empty cars available in that R environment. So it will give us the relation. The script, the command will give us the relation between the miles per gallon and the number of cylinders. So this is my median. First quartile, second quartile, whisker, the smallest and largest. So these are different values that we got using the box plot. So drawing a box around first and third quartile. So this is the first quartile, this is the third quartile, and the middle one is represented, the dark middle line is represented as median. So this is how a box plot looks like. Now moving forward, we will see what is an histogram. Histogram can be created using a hist function. So we use a hist function to create a histogram. This function takes a vector as an input for the graph that we're going to plot. Let us build a histogram using a air quality data set. That is a built-in data set in our environment. So from the air, this is the air quality data set. From this air quality data set, I am only interested in temperature column, and I'm creating an object called as temperature, and I'm directly creating a histogram on the temperature object using the hist function. So this is how the histogram looks like. So we can see above that there are 9 cells, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cells with equally spread breaks. These are equally spread breaks. In this case, the height of a cell is equal to the number of observations falling in that particular cell. So this cell has the number of observations in that particular cell. This is the height. Similarly, we can pass an additional parameter to control the way of our plot looks like. So let's try another example using a histogram and see how we can give more. We can use more options to plot a histogram. So using main, xlab, xlim, color and frequency, we will plot a histogram. Note on the y-axis is labeled as density instead of frequency, and in this case the total area of the histogram is equal to 1. So let's plot this histogram, then we'll get a good idea about plotting it. So I've given a yellow color. So this is how we can plot a histogram using all the different functions. On the y-axis is the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. On the left, x-axis is temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. On the y-axis it's density, and the label that I've given is maximum daily temperature at that particular airport. Moving ahead, we will see how to plot a pie chart. So pie chart is a very simple chart that we use to have a different pies. A chart is drawn using a pie function. The function takes a vector as a non-negative number. The vector that we are passing, it should be a positive number only. That's the limitation of pie chart. I mean, that's the only requirement or the input for that pie chart. So I'm using the same data set that we created, the df_employee, and with the salary column, I'm creating that object x, and I'm using the function pie with that object x. So this will give me a very basic pie chart. It will have the different employees and its salary. So this is the basic pie chart that we saw. Now let's add some more features to that pie chart. So x is the salary of that particular employee. Label, I'm giving label to each and every pie. So every employee will have one separate pie that will represent his salary. xlab is the salary, the label for that salary. ylab is the employee salary. Main is the name of that particular graph. So let's plot this. That's a warning, you can ignore that. So this is how a plot will look like, a pie chart. It will have the main, employee salary as the name of that plot. Then below is the salary and employee salary, and Every pie will have its own employee salary. This is how a pie chart looks like. Further down the line, we can also give the percentage of the salary, or we can also plot the numbers, that the amount of the salary each employee has. So that we can do later on. Moving ahead, we will see how to use a scatter plot. Scatterplot is just a basic graph or a plot that will show the displacement or how our data is displaced between the x and y axis. So I'm using an empty cars dataset. On empty cars dataset, I'm using MPG column and the HP column, the horsepower and the MPG, mileage per gallon column, to plot this scatter plot. So using a plot function, we will plot a scatter plot, and the name of that plot is empty cars, MPG and horsepower. So this is how it looks like. Empty cars, MPG and the horsepower is the name. This is the x-axis. On x-axis I have MPG, on y-axis I have horsepower, and this, it shows that how my data is scatteredly dispersed in this complete x and y axis. So this is how we can plot different kinds of graphs or plots in our programming. We learned Boxplot, BarPlot, Histogram, pie chart, Scatterplot. That's all for today's session. Hope you find it interesting. In the next session, we will see how to install packages in our environment or in our studio. We will install the dplyr package and perform the basic operations using the dplyr functions. So stick around, guys. We will see you in the next session. If you like my training sessions, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications of my new session. This will support and motivate my channel. Thank you.